Deep into the eyes, read them like a book. Trapped inside a prison, gotta free them like a crook. Make off with the loot, made off for the joke. Treated like these cowards never needed what we took, and we repeat it like a hook. Caught in the deep, come back like Wheezy. Card 3, sensation. Wait, then pause the beat. Eyes don't lie, truth still hard to see. They're begging me to show them, they're saying that I owe them, but I'll never give it up. Not for you, not for no one. Foreign ride, touring, soaring, open road, exploring.
Yeah, welcome to the show. This is Smoke the Competition. I'm your host, Eric Sojash. Please give us a follow. Please like and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. You can follow us on Twitter at Sojash Sports. Today's episode, we're breaking down Week 7, heading into the Monday Night Football game. We're going to talk about the point spread, money line, your fantasy football must-starts of the week, some players you might want to sit. We're also going to break down the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Minnesota Vikings in Monday Night Football. We got Christian McCaffrey, we got Brock Purdy, we got Brandon Aiyuk. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to be missing Deebo Samuel for this game, but we also got George Kittle taking on Kirk Cousins, the rookie sensation Jordan Addison, and TJ Hockenson. On that side of the ball, we're also going to be missing sensation Justin Jefferson. So we're going to break down this matchup, see who can get the win, see what players I like in the fantasy lineups. Stay tuned, sit back, relax, and let's enjoy the show. Okay, let's break down those fantasy lineups and have a look at who you should be starting. The first player we want to break down for your San Francisco 49ers is their quarterback, Brock Purdy. First off, let's just say San Francisco's slated with players that you must start in fantasy football. It's one of the better offenses, one of the best defenses in football. So basically, if you have a 49er, that's a starter player. You want to get him in your lineups. Brock Purdy is no doubt one of those players. This guy is super consistent. Currently in the NFL, he leads the league in passer rating, touchdown to interception ratio. The man plays consistent football. He's got a steady floor. He's going against the Minnesota Vikings defense that has steadily improved under Brian Flores, but this is still Brock Purdy. This is still the 49ers, led by Kyle Shanahan. He's a must start. Get him in your lineups. Next up, we got running back Christian McCaffrey. He's coming off an oblique injury. He's set to play Monday Night Football, said he's good to go. He's just going to deal with the pain. That means he's an absolute must-start in fantasy football. This guy's ceiling is through the roof, and we mean that literally. He already had a performance this year of 50 fantasy points in PPR format. That is just out of this world, ridiculous type stats. Gotta get him in your lineups. This is a no-brainer. I'm just reiterating what you already know. He is healthy enough to play. He's in Kyle Shanahan's offense, and he's going against the Minnesota Vikings defense. All that says, get him in your lineups. Christian McCaffrey is a must-start. Next player we're looking at is the wide receiver for the 49ers. He'll be the 1A and 1B this week with Deebo Samuel set to miss the game. We're talking about Brandon Aiyuk. This guy's an absolute stud, ladies and gentlemen. He's definitely an alpha wide receiver with or without Deebo in the game. He's a true route runner. I've been a big fan of this guy since his college days, and his game has just continued to steadily improve year in and year out. This year, him and Brock Purdy have a steady connection, and I can see that continuing on Monday Night Football. Brandon Aiyuk is an absolute must-start wide receiver. Get him in your lineups. He will finish as a top 20 this week. And last but not least, as an absolute must-start in this 49ers offense, we got tight end George Kittle. This past weekend was just National Tight Ends Day, so what better to finish it off with a big performance by George Kittle. I can see him going off. Him and Purdy have a great connection. They seem to find the end zone together. This feels like at least a 1 or 2 touchdown performance by George Kittle. Get him in your lineups. He's an absolute must start against this Vikings defense. He should score. He might even score twice. And jumping over to those Minnesota Vikings, they're going to be hosting, but they are taking on a tough defense. So this week, I see Kirk Cousins as a good start, not a must start. He typically throws the ball enough and finds the end zone often enough to be a must start week in and week out. However, the 49ers defense is one of the top units in the league, led by Fred Warner. So I can see that defense getting a couple sacks, creating a couple turnovers. They're going to be hunting. It's not going to be easy pickings for Cousins. However, he does have enough volume. He will throw enough, given that they cannot run the ball in Minnesota, to salvage his day. I see him as a good start. so you can play him and hope for a baseline of around 16 to 18 points. Next up, we got running back Alexander Mattison. It's been a pretty tough season for him. Hasn't been able to take over that workload left by Dalvin Cook and just dominate the backfield as some had expected. Now he's going to have a tough sled going against these San Francisco 49ers vaunted defense on Monday Night Football. I see him as a risky start. I'd put him on the bench if you haven't already. This is not the best matchup for him. Like I said, those 49ers, one of the best defensive units in the NFL, especially at stopping the run. I'd have Mattison on my bench this week. He's definitely a risky play. And moving over to the wide receiver position, we're going to be looking at number 3, rookie sensation Jordan Addison. This guy has been pretty darn good so far in his NFL career. He's a phenomenal route runner, seems to have a pretty good connection with Kirk Cousins. Now, unfortunately, they've lost Justin Jefferson for a few weeks, which has bolstered Addison into that starting role as the wide receiver 1. I'm not sure if he's quite ready to take over that alpha position when the defense is focused on him. This week, I see him as a good start, not a must start. It's going to be a little tough going against this defense, especially with that safety Hufanga lurking on top of Addison. So I see him as a good start. He should get enough targets to salvage his fantasy day. I just don't see him having a big day. The next player on the Minnesota Vikings I want to break down in this video is wide receiver KJ Osborn. This week, I see KJ as a safe play. He's typically just one of those safe floors. He'll usually catch around 4 to 5 passes for about 45 to 60 yards, which will give you about 8 to 10 points depending on your format. If he has one of his big weeks, you can throw a touchdown in there. I don't see that happening against this vaunted defense. As we've mentioned, this 49ers defense is no joke. They got a great secondary. They got great linebacker play. It's not going to be one of those shootouts. So I do see KJ as a safe play. Definitely not a must start. Definitely not a good start this week. And last but not least, we're going to have a look at the tight end position for the Minnesota Vikings. We're talking about TJ Hockenson. This week, he's an absolute must start, seen as the tight end position is still a position of weakness, and we're on some bye weeks, and we got some injuries. TJ's definitely a must start here. He'll get enough volume, he'll get enough looks, and he's definitely the favorite out of the guys remaining here for Kirk Cousins to find on third down and in the red zone. Look for him to lean on TJ when things get tough. He's an absolute must-start against a tough 49ers defense. All right, let's have a look at the spread this week, figure out who's going to get the win, and discuss why. All right, so I'm going with the San Francisco 49ers here. I'm laying the 6.5 points on the road team, and I expect them to get the W. They're coming off a tough loss to those Cleveland Browns, led by Myles Garrett. Now the Minnesota Vikings, they don't have a defense led by anybody quite like Myles Garrett, although they've been playing above expectations. Their 2 wins this year come against the Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears, not quite top-tier teams this year in the NFL. And with the 49ers coming off a loss, Kyle Shanahan looking to get back on track, I can see the 49ers super focused. This is going to be a good game, ladies and gentlemen, but by the end of it, 49ers should pull it out by at least 6.5 points. I'm confident in laying those points. Let's go Niners.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you for joining us. Give us a follow. Once again, subscribe to the channel. I'm Eric Sojash. Peace, love. Let's continue to smoke the competition.
Deep into the eyes, read them like a book. Trapped inside a prison, gotta free them like a crook. Make off with the loot, made off for the joke. Treated like these cowards never needed what we took, and we repeat it like a hook. Caught in the deep, come back like Weezy. The card 3, sensation. Wait, then pause the beat. Eyes don't lie, truth still hard to see. They're begging me to show them, they're saying that I owe them, but I'll never give it up. Not for you, not for no one. Foreign ride, touring, soaring, open road, exploring.